Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made these vegan steaks using Vital Wheat gluten flour and mashed potatoes. I will of course be listing all the ingredients used in the description box below. You're going to need a total of 2 cups of mashed potatoes. What I did was I peeled about 5 small yellow potatoes. I then cooked them until they were cooked through, enough to pierce them with a fork. That's how I knew they were ready. I then mashed them until they were really smooth. I then added them to the dry ingredients, and here you see me adding the hot liquid. I actually took all the wet ingredients, added them into a measuring cup, and I did heat up the soy milk quite a bit so that it was hot. I do like working with hot liquids in the Vital Wheat gluten flour because I feel that it makes it more pliable. Now I should have added the potatoes and the liquid and then mixed those before adding them into the flour, but I didn't. I actually ended up mixing them all in one bowl. It's actually a pan that you see here. That took a little bit more work to do, but it still worked out just fine. Once I had mixed all the wet and dry ingredients together, I kneaded the dough for a good 5 minutes. At this point, your dough should look like this. You will see the fibers forming and it'll become elastic. You can then set it aside for a few minutes while you get your other dough mixed. Now this one here, the ingredients are also listed in the description box, and as you see I am pouring the hot soy milk into it. I then did the same. I kneaded it for about 5 minutes. I then added the fat to it, which was the vegan butter. Same with the other one. This one has a similar consistency. This is the 3 tablespoons of butter, and then I mixed that really well and incorporated it into the other dough. What I did was I stretched in the white part into the colored dough, and I stretched it and kneaded it for about 5 minutes until it looked like this. I then took it and cut it into 2 pieces. I did rest this for 2 hours before going through with the braiding part. Here you could see where I cut it into 3 strips. This is what will be braided into each other. Now unfortunately I don't have a clip of that part, but you can clearly see where it's been braided, and I'm sure you could look up something that'll show you how to braid. So pretty much braid it together and then cover it with the second piece that you've set aside. This is what it should look like at this point. So I went ahead and took the second piece and just wrapped it around the braided part as best as I could to get all of that covered, and this is what it looked like. I then browned it on all sides, but before browning it, I went ahead and I seasoned it with my favorite McCormick seasoning blend, which is this one that I'm showing you here. Just go ahead and season all around and fry it on all sides. I did use a little bit of oil to do that. I then wrapped it in cheesecloth. The reason I did that is because I wanted the thickness of the dough to stay pretty thick comparing to my brisket video. If you've seen that, if I had not wrapped it in the cheesecloth, it would have gone flat, and that's not what I wanted. So the cheesecloth actually holds the shape. Now what I did was I placed the seitan wrapped in the cheesecloth in my oven pan. As you could see, my oven pan is not deep enough, so it didn't cover the seitan dough completely, but I did flip it every 30 minutes. I baked it in the oven at 375 for a total of 2.5 hours, flipping every 30 minutes, and this cooked it through. Now once it was done baking, I took it out of the oven and then placed it on my cutting board. I did remove it from the cheesecloth right away. You can wait. Actually, I would suggest you wait to do that the following day because the textures actually are nicer, are more dense, and you have a nicer bite. This was softer in texture. It just really depends on how you want to eat it, I guess. But we had it the same night, and it was definitely softer than the second day. I did cut the strips kind of thick because I was going for that thicker steak cut. Now, something to take note of, which I did not mention previously, is that every time I flipped it while it was cooking in the oven, I also added more liquid to the same pan to keep the same level of water covering as much seitan as possible. Like I mentioned before, this was my first attempt at making it, and I was very happy with the results. I did obtain some shreds, and that was due to the braiding of the seitan dough. It's also from resting the dough for those 2 hours that it rested prior to the braiding step. So do rest it and then braid it, and you will get similar shreds like these. Now here the steaks had cooled down quite a bit. I took the seasoning that I had. I'm actually new to using it, but I really did enjoy the flavor. I also used a carne asada seasoning that I had that I'm also new to using, and I thought that combination was actually pretty tasty. Here are the steaks frying. This is the texture when you rest it overnight, which is actually more dense. I prefer it this way better. I like the chewiness and the bite I get from when it's rested. If you decide to replicate this recipe, please tag me at Yessie's Plant-Based Diet on Instagram. I'd love to see your results. Thank you all so much for watching.